I have kept the Tarsan relay for 6 centuries, which is not a long time for an Oran, though it is longer than most species ever get to keep anything. The relay sits on the inner lip of the Ilvern Verge, a debris ring thrown loose by something that broke apart long before any of the species now charting it had learned to count years. Beyond the ring lies human space. I have never crossed into it. None of my caste ever has. We are not soldiers and we are not diplomats. We are keepers. Our work is to watch the line and write down what it does. And for 600 years the line has done very little, which is exactly why every report I have ever filed has been read. I do not say the verge is forbidden. No decree forbids it. No fleet enforces it. It is simply avoided, the way a sensible animal avoids a particular stretch of water without needing to be told what is in it. Species arrive at this avoidance on their own, usually after losing something, and once they have it, they never need to be reminded twice. I have watched 11 attempts in my tenure to test whether the avoidance was superstition. None of the 11 required me to lift a hand. That is the part visitors to this post never believe until I show them the logs. An Oran lifespan is long enough that I have outlived 3 governments that funded this relay and 2 that tried to defund it, on the grounds that a post which never reports an incident must not be doing useful work. I never argued the point. I only kept logging, the way my predecessor kept logging before me, and the predecessor before her, back through a chain of keepers long enough that the relay's own foundation plate has been resurfaced 4 times to keep the founding date legible. We do not write reports to be believed. We write them so that the next keeper, 6 centuries from now, will have an unbroken record to set beside whatever new arithmetic some captain has just invented. The 12th attempt called itself the Talon-Free Concern, 4 salvage vessels under a captain named Joran Caldry, flying out of a mid-tier independent registry that could not afford a full survey license, and had decided, in the manner of small operations everywhere, that the rules built for large ones did not quite apply to them. Their ships were named for the language of ledger's narrow margin, quiet tally, last ledger, open account, which told me, before I had read a single transmission, exactly how they had talked themselves into this. I picked them up 11 days out, running a slow ellipse along the debris ring's outer edge, mapping wreck density the way any honest salvage crew would. On the 12th day, they crossed the line that exists on no chart and is observed by every species that has ever needed to learn what it means. Caldry's voice, when it came through on the open frequency we monitor but rarely answer, was relaxed in the particular way of someone who has already decided the danger, is a story told by people too cautious to compete. "We're not declaring anything," he said to no one who was listening back. "4 ships, no weapons worth the name. We take what's already broken and we leave. Nobody polices the small print." I logged the line. I have logged some version of that line 11 times before, in 11 different languages, spoken by 11 captains who are not now anywhere a record can find them. The wording changes. The arithmetic never does. Smallness is always offered as the proof of safety, as though the line had ever once asked how large a thing was before it closed around it. For 2 days nothing happened, and I want to be honest about what that did to them, because it is the part the legend leaves out when it is told as a single clean warning instead of as a slow education. 2 days of nothing is, to a crew working thin margins, the same as 2 days of evidence. By the second evening, their telemetry had loosened. Quiet Tally drifted a full 11 minutes from formation to chase a denser wreck cluster. Last Ledger cut its running lights to save power, a small economy, the kind any frugal concern makes without thinking twice. Caldry's voice, on his evening check-in to his own registry, not to us, never to us, they did not yet believe we were listening, had warmed into something almost cheerful. He used the word easy. He used it twice. I have sat at this console long enough to recognize the particular shape that confidence takes in a crew that has gambled correctly so far. It is not loud. It does not announce itself with boasts to the open channel, the the way the legend's louder stories sometimes claim. It is quieter than that, a captain trimming his lights, a navigator letting a routine sweep run 2 minutes longer than her training would otherwise allow, 4 crews settling, hour by hour, into the comfortable posture of people who believe the worst danger has already passed them by, because it did not arrive on the first day, or the second. I want to be clear that nothing struck them. No warship rose out of the dark to make an example of 4 salvage tugs. That is not what this line does, and it is not what I have ever seen it do. What happened to the Talon-free concern happened the way water finds a level. It did not announce itself. It did not need to. On the third day, Open Account's transponder began drifting from its assigned frequency by fractions of a hertz, the kind of decay a maintenance officer would normally catch and correct within the hour. No one corrected it. By midday, the signal had wandered far enough that our relay logged it, automatically, under a heading that exists for exactly this and nothing else: lost to drift, not destroyed, not attacked. Simply no longer findable, in a way that no debris field, no wreckage, no flare of energy ever explained. Caldry called it instrument failure. He sent a tender to investigate and recover the crew. The tender did not report a collision when it came back 2 hours later with no one aboard and Open Account nowhere on its scopes. It reported nothing at all, because there was nothing in any sensor band to report. I logged that as well. I have learned across 6 centuries that the absence of an event is itself a kind of testimony, if you are willing to read silence as carefully as you read noise. Last ledger went next on the 4th day, and this one even the file resists nomming plainly. Debris impact, unconfirmed. There was no debris. There was no impact signature on any instrument capable of registering one. There was a status report mid-sentence that simply stopped, the way a person stops speaking when something in the room has changed and they have decided, in the half-second before the sentence would have ended, not to finish it. By the 5th day, Caldry had stopped using the word easy. I do not know what word he used instead, because Quiet Tally's scheduled check-in to the Tarson relay, the one transmission in this entire affair that was, finally, addressed to us, to the post he had spent 5 days pretending did not exist, came through at the correct hour on the correct frequency and consisted of 4 seconds of open channel and no voice at all. I answered it. That is not standard procedure for an Oran keeper, and I have turned the decision over many times since. I said only, this line does not require your provocation to close. It only requires your presence. There was no reply. There was never going to be one. Narrow margin, Caldry's own ship, made no error I could log, broke no protocol I could cite, and simply did not answer its 6th-day check-in. No drift. No silence mid-sentence. No anomaly of any kind. It had been there, and then the file showed an absence where a presence had been, and there is no clean verb in my language or any other for that particular transition. The Talon-free concern's operating license lapsed 19 days later, processed by a clerk in their home registry as a routine non-renewal, 4 lines in an administrative ledger, filed under inactive accounts. No inquiry was opened. No distress call exists anywhere to open one against. To their own people, the concern did not vanish. It simply stopped paying its fees, the most unremarkable kind of failure a small operation can have, and was struck from the rolls without ceremony, exactly as if Caldry had simply lost his nerve and walked away from the business, which is the story his registry now tells, because it is the only story the evidence permits. I filed my own report the same week. It says what my reports have said 11 times before. The boundary required no force to close around 4 ships that believed their smallness was a kind of permission. I do not know what humanity is, beyond the line that bears its name and needs nothing else to keep it. I have never required more than that to keep my own post for 600 years, and I expect, before the season turns, that some other small concern somewhere will read the empty record where the Talon-free concern used to be, find no warning in it at all, and conclude, as 11 did before them, as one more eventually will, that nothing happened here.